right, are we live?
I think so. We're recording as well.
Awesome. Welcome everybody to hopefully a abbreviated little demo of Energy Domain data. My name is Ben Heinzelman. I'm the CEO at Energy Domain. This is Scott Hamilton. Scott, if you'll introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, Scott Hamilton. I'm the Vice President of Product here at Energy Domain.
I appreciate everybody's time today. I think the goal here is, like I said, give a really quick high level. Before I get into the demo, I want to talk about why we built this product initially. So you guys will probably be able to tell as I talk, I'm just a dumb landman. I've worked with several products in the past. Worked on the operating side for several years, and was part of the founding group of a company called Mineralware, which is a mineral and royalty and non-op management platform, which we sold in April of 2022. And a lot of this product, which you're going to see today, stems from that work. So we spent years and years building out Mineralware. It's a map-based product that starting about 10 years ago. Obviously, if you're going to have a map-based product, again, I'm just a dumb landman, so we like our maps. We knew that we needed to find a way to integrate wellheader data, production, et cetera. So in 2015, we started pulling all that data in ourselves very slowly. I mean, literally county by county in the state of Texas. I had a spreadsheet that showed the last time it was updated. It was certainly not an automated process whatsoever. Eventually, we added features to help us grow up market and help mineral aggregators and that type of thing instead of just managing the legacy mineral owners. So we added features, but we also really leaned into the data side. So we built in all the same ETLs and pipelines that a lot of these legacy data providers implemented years ago to pull wellheader production, all that from every producing state. And by the time we sold Mineralware, the company that acquired us did not want to be a data company. It was my experience, running sales for Mineralware. I essentially ran sales solo, and I met with, hundreds, if not thousands, of people from all walks of life over a 5 to 6 year period. And I'd be going through the map, showing them the product, and they kind of stopped me. This would happen like 80% of the conversations. They would stop me and say, "Hey, this is really cool what you're showing me. Can we just have a map of the well data, the permits, production, et cetera?" Because some of the legacy data providers, even 10 years ago, started to become pretty prohibitively expensive. And I think that the biggest complaints, really, it's kind of twofold. Number one, the pricing with some of these other providers is extremely opaque. It's not a true like-kind exchange of consideration and value. Typically, they're trying to figure out what you can afford. And then secondarily, a lot of in my experience, on the land side, most people in the industry are pretty basin agnostic. There's a percentage of guys that are just buying barrels and, they need nationwide coverage. A lot of people are pretty focused in their little honey hole, whether it's 1, 2, maybe 3 basins. And so we wanted to build something that was borderline obnoxiously transparent when it came to the pricing. So I'll walk you guys through that really quick. When you first create an account on Energy Domain data, and just as a quick aside, we've been live 3 months. We have about 80 paid users already. That's growing quickly month over month. We're constantly adding new features. I'm going to obviously walk you guys through that here in a bit. The goal here again was a very transparent pricing model. So as you guys see up here at the top, you can pay, it's a month to month or an annual contract where you can save 10%. All of this is automated. Obviously in today's age, everybody's kind of used to their Netflix account, their Apple account, whatever, Amazon, and they want to be able to manage their own subscriptions. They don't want to have to deal with a customer success team where you have a new customer success representative every couple months, and a lot of them don't really appreciate, your needs or really that motivated to take feedback and build new features. So we wanted to really automate a lot of this process and really put the power back in the hands of our users. So at any point in time, you can hover over the basin. Right now I'm toggled up to subscribe by basin. So you can hover over the basin. It shows what the monthly price is. This particular user is subscribed to the East Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi Salt Basin, which is essentially Haynesville going into East Texas all the way into Mississippi and Louisiana. Our users can also subscribe even down to the county level. So for some of you guys that are either operators in 2 or 3 counties or mineral owners, again, a lot of these groups are just priced out of using some of these legacy data providers, and they just need access to, again, 2, 3 counties, maybe a couple basins. So it's essentially as simple as, if I want to add Midland County, it's $150 a month for my subscription. I can check out. You can pay via ACH or credit card. The subscription is then completely under your own control. So when I go to the subscriptions page, you'll see what you're currently subscribed to. I can add seats on the fly. All this is automated. So you will get this is all powered via Stripe. So you'll get an invoice every month or a receipt every month. You can upgrade, downgrade. You can add basins, remove basins, add counties. It's a true a la carte model for oil and gas data. You can also cancel if you'd like at the end of the month. So there's, again, no long-term commitments. This is an effort on our end to make sure that you guys as the user feel like that we're being 100% transparent and we're not using any gotcha language and renewals clauses or anything like that, which I'm sure a lot of you have run into in the past if you're not running into it right now. I'm going to show you guys what the nationwide account looks like here really quickly. So when you first log in, the very first thing that you're going to see is a heat map. This is all based on well density, and there's a default filter that's applied over here on the left side. So right now, this is only showing a heat map based off of active wells, permits, DUCs, and pre-permits where those apply. And you'll notice the rig location. So, again, coming from my land background, this is critical data to have. We are one of the only companies now that is tracking rig locations daily. We acquired a rig data business about a year and a half ago. So we get about 65% of the rig locations directly from the drilling contractors. The rest, the delta there, we actually grab via satellite imagery, which I'm happy to go into detail on that on a separate call. Just want to, for the sake of time, I'll kind of start going through this here. But we track them daily. Some cases it's intra-daily. So depending on the day, we'll hover between 94 to 99% coverage compared to the Baker Hughes count. It's pretty accurate. As I start to zoom into the map, once you get past the heat map, you'll see this customer, and actually let me zoom back out real quick. This customer has already imported their shapefiles. I'm going to get into how you can build shapefiles directly on the map. A lot of groups, especially the smaller companies, don't have access to a suite of GIS professionals, and they don't, especially if it's really simple polygons, like it's you're active out in the Permian or in any of the PLSS states where it's Jeffersonian. You just want to quickly build out a few sections and export production, well header data, et cetera. And you don't want to have to rely on a third-party GIS team to do that. So you can do that on the map. You can also upload shapefiles via this via the filter over here and create areas of interest out of those. Again, I'll zoom back into the map. First thing you'll notice, we are not trying to.
One second, can you just make the screen a little larger? Getting some feedback that it's a little too detailed.
Yeah. How about that?
That looks better. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So you'll notice on the map key over here, these are all of this is the symbology. So if any of you guys have ever used the Railroad Commission website, again, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We are using all the same symbols that the Railroad Commission uses. So green dots producing oil, red's gas. We have our own DUC status on here. And again, you'll see the rig locations. So everything on this map, again, I have not applied a filter at all. You will notice when I first zoom into the map, we do have all of the directional survey data in here, which again, I can go into detail on a separate call on how we've pulled that in. But we will be in the next few months one of the only companies that has digitized directional survey data across the entire lower 48. Everything in here is point and click. So I can click on a well, and when you do that, it highlights that well on the center of the map there, and it also brings that well to the top of the table. And there's a really high level well card that's pulled out. These are not all the fields that we have in the database, obviously. This is intended to be a really quick snapshot. So your well name, API, reservoir, permit, spud, completion date. And then we have the tabular production data. All of our production data is allocated down to the wellbore level. So our chief operating officer, Malcolm Smith, ran the subsurface group at EQT for 5 years. He's the brilliant engineer. As I mentioned, I'm just the landman, and he can kind of walk through the white paper on how we did that. We piped in hundreds of thousands of well tests in Texas and Louisiana to accomplish that. You also notice for you land guys that want to get quick access to documents at the state level, there's a state link on every single well that takes you directly to that well on the state website. We could host that internally. The feedback we got is it's more than sufficient as long as it's a click or two away. That is applicable to every single state in the lower 48. And then again, that well is brought to the top of the table. So as I start to scroll over here, you'll see all the other fields. So, basin, measure depth, true vertical depth, lateral length, permit, spud, completion. And if I click there's a choose columns button here. So if I click choose columns, you can add whatever columns you want into the well header table. So you'll see what's defaulted on. As I scroll down, you can see there are a bunch of other fields. So I can add legal descriptions, abstract, block, township range, field name, lat longs, the geometries. You can also add production metrics. So as I scroll down, you'll see, we have first 3 months liquid, 6 months, 12 months, cumes. You can, again, essentially toggle on whatever you want. And when you turn those on, it adds those columns into the well header table. And then if you want to reorder these in the table, you can do that. So it's in the exact order that you would like. And then you can click set as default and apply. So for each user, it's going to be in the exact format that you want. And to be very clear, I have not, again, this is the most basic use case. All I have done is zoomed into the map, clicked on a well, brought out the well card. I did want to cover, how you can build shapefiles directly on the map. So let's say if you look up above the key here, we have these drawing tools. So if I select the polygon tool, I can start to build out shapes here. So let's say I own an interest or I'm looking at a deal in this track here. So I double click to finish the section there. You'll notice it does a couple of things. So it gives me a pop out and gives me the option to save that as an area of interest, or I can keep drawing. And you'll notice that as I am drawing, it is selecting all of the wells that intersect. You actually don't need the bottom hole or the surface location to be within the polygon. It grabs anything that intersects. So it selects that on the table and in the map. And again, if I scroll over here to the left, you'll see all the wells that are selected. I can drag this up and down if I want to grab more real estate here. And as you scroll down, you'll see all of those wells that intersect. So in this case, I'm going to keep drawing. So you may have a larger position that you want to continue to draw. You can build out as large of a position as you would like, as long as the area of those polygons doesn't exceed 10,000 square miles. And then I can save that as an area of interest, call that whatever you want. And I can add a buffer around that of 1 to 5 miles. And you will actually get daily email notifications. So anytime there's a new rig, there's a new permit, a new duct, or a new active well, that goes directly to the body of your email, and it is delineated by area of interest. So some people may save their areas of interest as based on current ownership or maybe an area that you're prospecting, whatever else. It'll separate that out by area of interest. And most importantly, it generates a shapefile on the fly and stores that in your folder over here, which obviously you can use in any other application that accepts shapefiles. And when the wells are selected on the map and in the table, if I open analytics, this allows me, and I want to be very clear with this, we are not trying to build another engineering platform with this. In my experience, most guys that first look at deals are not engineers. They're dumb people like me that just generally want to get a quick understanding of how these wells perform over time and build a really quick type curve. So if I click analytics, this will pull in all the production data for every single well that intersects that shape, or a well list that I've imported via the filters, which I'll show you guys how to do here in a few minutes. So right now up at the top, you can see all of this production. This is all toggled by date time. If I click producing time, it'll set all that back to time 0. And obviously, again, I haven't applied a filter. Typically, you're going to go in and filter by reservoir or just operator, or you can change the spud date ranges. This is just intended to be a really quick run through. Right now I'm toggled to a linear. This will be a Cartesian plot, and then I can do a quick aggregation. So then I can average that production, or I can do a P10, P50, or a P90. In this case, I'm just going to average the production and click Run Type Curve. And when I click Run Curve, it'll auto fit for me. And here at the bottom right, you'll see the results here that are spit out. So it'll actually calculate your EUR. It has the B factor used, the initial monthly decline. If you want to get nerdy with it and you want to change the inputs, you can do that via this pane over here. You can also toggle it over to logarithmic if you would like. So for those of you that may buy minerals using a discounted cash flow model in Excel, whatever, you can actually download then that type curve, and it's just in a flat file CSV format. First column is producing month, second is the aggregated production, third is the actual type curve. I'm going to get to this here in a bit. We are already building out and developing a full project economics tool. So you'll be able to forecast as many PDP wells using whatever economic assumptions you want at once. Save these type curves, schedule PUDs out. Again, use whatever price sensitivities you want, and it will build an entire cash flow model for you directly in the app. And I'm gonna go into more detail on that here in a bit. So I'm gonna kill out all this here, and I'm gonna go back to the map key. So just for again, high level prospecting, as I'm zoomed into the map, if I click the map key, I can color all the wells by operator, and I can pop out the color wheel here. It'll show, position by operator. You can also color it by reservoir. And I can, some of you guys, I can appreciate it's dark mode is nice and it's easy on the eyes, but it's not great for printing and for presenting deals. So I can toggle that over to light mode. And there are print options. So if I click print up here at the top, this gives you a number of options and how you can export the data. You can export it in PDF, JPEG, GIF, EPS, wherever you want there, and it will export the map for you. Or you can obviously just do a really quick high-level screen grab. So quick use case, if I'm here in the map again, I've not applied a filter. So if I open the filters here, you'll see all of the fields that I can filter on. It's pretty granular. I mean, you can filter by well status, orientation, product type. You can upload shapefiles. You can upload a well list, which I'll get into here in a second. And you'll see everything else: well name, operator, state, county, basin, reservoir, field name, abstract, all the legal descriptions, measure depth, true vertical depth, lateral length. And then you have your date ranges down here. So your permits, spud, completion, first production. So let's say I only want to see permit activity in the last 3 months. So if I click that, now it's just limiting the filter in the table and on the map to permitting activity in the last 3 months. So again, if I want to see just spatially who has filed these permits, again, I can pull out all the categories there, the operators. And again, that's a high level. The one other thing I wanted to point out is as you apply those filters, this heat map changes dynamically. So again, for those of you that maybe own assets in sort of obscure areas, you want to keep in tune with permitting activity, you want to apply a really quick permit filter, it's going to change and show that to you. So if you've got a random area like this where there's some new permits filed, again, you can see those outlined here. And all of this is exportable. So anytime I am selecting wells in the table or I'm applying filters, I can click download and export essentially however I would like. We're adding in some custom exports here for some of the engineering platforms. But if I want to go in and export any of the well header data or any of the historical production, we actually have a separate Celery instance that runs that can export. I mean, you can go in and essentially export our entire production data database if you'd like, and it's in your inbox in less than a minute in a CSV format. So I'm going to reload this here real quick. One of the things I wanted to point out is this kind of comes from my experience managing minerals and non-op. It can be a gigantic pain in the rear to locate API numbers, whether that is managing your current asset, you get in pay on a bunch of new wells, or you're looking at a deal. A lot of times sellers may not be that organized, and you may just get a bunch of check stubs or well names in a CSV or an Excel file. And it can be really challenging. That's a hunt and peck operation on a lot of other products. So I was selling on our marketplace side, which I encourage you guys to check out if you haven't already. It's free to access to look at all of our deals. One of my buddies was selling a larger mineral package. He was in pay on 353 PDP wells. He had some APIs present, some were missing. We had all the well names, the counties and states. And so we wanted to allow our users to do is to very quickly locate API numbers, even without the API numbers present in the file. So I'm going to drag in this file type. So what I did in the file, this Excel file literally just has well name, county and state, and then a column for APIs. I removed all the APIs just to get a quick feel for how the product would work. I'm going to drag this in there and show you guys what it does. So it pops out a window here. So you'll see the first three columns. You have well name, county, and state. It has now matched that with all the API numbers with a probability of match, the match percentage column here. So in this case, it has matched 339 of those 353 wells pretty much immediately. So essentially, you can go from, again, high level, if you wanted to just match, like locate the API numbers spatially, but also in a CSV, and then you want to quickly go pull all of the production data and you want to export any of the wellheader data, you can do that in less than 30 seconds. So I've matched all of these, essentially 339 of those wells. If any of them are unmatched, I can click on the unmatched tab and manually search our database for those. For the purposes of time, I'm going to click continue. It populates all the APIs in here. And then all I have to do is apply that filter. It locates all wells spatially there on the map. So you can see the heat map of where they're located. And it limits the table to those wells. So if I wanted to export all of the data, again, I can just select all, hit download, export all the wellheader or the historical production. I can also build a high level curve on every single well in this data set. So if I click back to producing time, here is the average curve for all 333 wells. Again, run type curve. So just for really high level, like the other day, I went in, I just wanted to look at what are the average EURs of every well that's been drilled in the Haynesville and in Louisiana on a per 1,000-foot basis. That's one thing I did not cover is in the analytics tab over here, you can see the option to normalize per 1,000 lateral foot. So I can actually normalize once I remove the vertical wells, I can normalize per 1,000 lateral foot. And when you run the type curve, it'll actually calculate on a per 1,000 lateral foot basis, which I think will be really helpful for a lot of you guys. Let me go back here and reset. As I mentioned, you can upload shapefiles. You can kind of slice and dice this data however you'd like. Again, I want to be clear that we are not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We're trying to provide really basic features because, again, a lot of the feedback we were getting is from even some of these legacy data providers. A lot of these folks, the people that I deal with, what I would consider the quote unquote bottom 80% of the market, they may leverage 20 to 30% of what Drilling Info offers, or any of the other products, whether it's any of the other products in the space. And so, how can we build something that provides the basics at a reasonable price point and continue to build on that? So we do not separate out access by feature. We don't do any of that. This is all based on, wherever you are geographically subscribed, you get access to every single thing that we have in the product. And so I do want to cover, there's obviously a whole lot more that you can do with this. I encourage you guys, and I'll talk about how you can get access to this at the end of the call. But I do want to go over some of the things that we are building out. So we are actually raising capital right now. And as part of that, I'm going to get into some of the Courthouse stuff at the end of it. We made an exciting announcement this morning. But I do want to cover some of the features that are coming soon here in a bit. Scott, if we want to maybe get into questions before I do that, I think that might be best. Scott, are you there? I think you might be on mute. I think we lost our VP of product there. Let's see. Yeah, so I'll get into a couple things. Oh, Scott, you there now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I lost you there for a
bit. Yeah, sorry. There's a tie between camera and microphone, obviously. If you check the chat right now, there's a question right there. I'm gonna drop you 3 questions that we've gotten that are really good.
Go ahead.
The first one is there an option to see unit boundaries?
Great question. We are working on that right now. So that is part of this capital raise. So we're going to be adding in the unit boundaries, and I'll get into some of the other stuff as well. But yes, that is coming.
All right. Second question on headers: is more subjective data populated, such as landing zone and target?
Yeah, why don't you cover, Scott, some of the work we're doing on the reservoir side?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of normalization on reservoir. So right now we're delivering kind of a normalized reservoir. We plan to do two kind of separate things there. The first one is going to be bringing in the really raw reservoir. We've gotten a lot of feedback that people are interested in the raw reservoir data so they can make their own assumptions based off of that. So we're actually starting the project right now to pull in. There'll be your standard kind of normalized reservoir that'll say something like Bone Spring, and then there'll be the raw deliverable also coming from our state entities that'll be kind of like BS2, BS3, whatever you want to call it. And then the next thing we'll be doing some, kind of going section by section, finding and basically creating a contour map, across all the lower 48 to start actually picking landing zones and where those wells are landing. Much bigger project, something that'll be coming later this year, but really kind of landing those zones and picking those tops as to where we think and where we're assuming those wells are. So 3 different levels are really normalized, the raw from the state, and then kind of a much more programmatic way of landing those wells in their zones.
I did want to address, I saw a question from Jeremy on pricing. And we can send out we have an FAQs page and all that that covers it as well. So essentially what we've done, Jeremy, is we've separated out the pricing, as I mentioned, basin level or county level or nationwide. So we have tiered the basins, for a tier 1, tier 2, and a tier 3 basin. A tier 1 basin, which would be, Permian, Haynesville, Eagle Ford, Williston, there's a few more, are 500 a month. Now that being said, the absolute like nationwide access for everything is $1,300 a month, and that comes with every single feature that we have. So essentially, once you get over a couple basins, if you want to add more, it typically just makes sense to go ahead and update and go up to the nationwide level. Now for counties, the tier 1 counties are, I think it's 150 and then 150. So again, you can kind of mix and match. And so at some point, it makes sense if you just have 2 or 3 counties to go ahead and upgrade to the entire basin. If that makes sense.
And then, Ben, the last question that we got, do you have external API connections to integrate into my system?
Yeah, why don't you cover that?
Yeah, so we kind of, part of what Ben's going to show right here in a product that we use to kind of show some of the future things we're building. We're working on right now what we're calling Data Stream Direct. So this is a ODBC connector that's going to allow you to really just kind of go in and see your data subscriptions in some type of SQL type format. So you'll be able to kind of query that data, bring it into your system, update and manage at your cadence. When do you want to update it? How often do you want to manage it, etc. So yeah, big feature. We've had this requested since before we even formally launched. So we knew this was coming. It just takes some time, and yeah, this will definitely be being delivered here in the next couple months.
Awesome. I did want to cover, so obviously as we add some of these other layers in, it's going to be really important that the map is very performant. So we also got feedback that a lot of these people want to see data on a kind of more zoomed out level. As you guys saw when I was on the map, hopefully you're able to see it before I got everybody was yelling at me for the map being too small. I'm sorry about that, guys. But so the map right now that we're using is Esri, which is fine. They've kind of struggled to expand into this new cloud compute environment that we all live in today. We have been developing Mapbox in the background for the last 2 or 3 months. And that will be out by the end of May is the goal. I don't want to create hard targets for my guy Scott over here, but that is the goal. I'm going to walk you guys through that just very, very briefly and show you some of just how much more performant this map is. And this is our dev environment, so bear with me. You can zoom in and look at data on a basin-wide level very, very quickly. So as you zoom in, it's going to load them, and you can jump from basin to basin almost instantly. And I can zoom into very dense areas like Midland, and it populates everything almost immediately. Again, talk about looking at, positions by operator. I mean, this is going to be incredibly powerful. And so as we get into some of these other features, and I want to cover this right now, you see on this tab, this is what is in development now. So Scott alluded to this data stream direct, API access, whatever you want to call it. We have the Mapbox integration, which will be coming out hopefully by the end of the month. Scott, if you want to touch on forecasts and type curves real quick.
Yeah. So a couple things we're doing here. We're saving forecast and type curves right now. When you go into the application, you build a forecast, you type curve. It's all kind of right there in memory, looking at you. But we're gonna be able to save those individually, and then eventually, kind of the next step of that is going to be able to save what we're calling packages, right? So across our industry, everybody talks about projects. We're trying to do well packages. So we're be able to bring in, say, I have a shapefile with 40 wells in it. We're going to bring that in, forecast, type curve, all that information, and then save that as a package where you can then run your kind of group economics, larger economic rundowns to then save those volumes off, save those economics off, and revisit that in a future date. So super excited. A lot of good feedback there around saving the forecast and type curve volumes.
So I did want to cover what we're rolling out next. So we are launching, we're pulling in all the water data, as we talked about earlier, quick economics, tax roll data. I'm going to cover that at the end of the call because this is sort of a bigger high level discussion around Courthouse data as well. Scott already talked about auto forecasted EURs, which is actually currently in development. And Scott, can you cover the AG grid implementation?
Yeah, just AG Grid. It's a third-party tool that's really just a really nice to use grid that we'd like to, our application is heavy map, but also we have tables everywhere. Those tables, interacting with those tables, being able to easily kind of copy paste data out of it, and then and organize your columns seamlessly, save, sort, all that stuff. So AG Grid is just a great tool that I have a lot of experience with. I think it would serve our customers and our product really well. Something we definitely want to implement, similar to what we're doing right now with Mapbox.
And one of the things I did want to cover before I get into the last part of this is anytime you're on the application, I'm going to go back to the app here. We have a full resource center in here. So as you guys create new accounts, obviously we're here to help you. If you click this energy domain logo up at the top left, and actually it's not in Mapbox yet. Let me go back to our actual application. So if you click the resource center up at the top left, there are guided wizards that are built in to essentially walk you through how to use every feature. So if you want to know, how do I create an area of interest? How do I use the filters? How do I use analytics? All of this stuff is an actual in-app guided wizard. You can request a demo directly with our team. This again, if you click what's new, it'll kind of go through all the new features we're working on. You can get feedback. Most importantly, down here at the bottom for our active users, they use this all the time. There's an in-app chat as well. No, this does not go to India. When you click a message in here and you put in, you can attach images, you can put in whatever, screenshots. This goes directly to our team that's here in Fort Worth. And Scott, what is our average response time?
Yeah, I have hands on, I would say 90% of them right now. Personally, our response time is under 7 minutes to get you an initial response, and we're usually closing your tickets in under 20 minutes.
Awesome. So I could go into all these, again, I encourage you guys to go just to the website. It has all of this directly in the application and on the website as well. One of the things feedback that we've been getting from, call it the larger enterprise customers, is frustration around having to use a lot of different sources for Courthouse data. So exciting announcement this morning. We've partnered with and acquired the IP from a guy named Jason Smith, who is the co-founder of TexasFile. I assume a lot of you guys, if you're active in the state of Texas, you're probably familiar with TexasFile. This will be an absolute game changer for us. We've already started ordering documents from the courthouses. That's obviously a huge advantage that we have with Jason. He already has all of those relationships on hand, which is incredibly helpful. This will be incredibly AI driven. Scott, can you just give a really quick high level on some of the things we're going to be doing on the courthouse front?
Yeah. I mean, we're working with Jason. It's very early stages. Just announced this morning, but we're working with Jason to extract this information across all of these courthouse records using AI, right? So using artificial intelligence to skim these documents, pull all this information down. Obviously, a lot of that data is going to be supporting the data application, but the application for this information goes well beyond even oil and gas, gets into real estate, gets into all facets of energy, right? So, yeah, just we're super excited about this. We've got a long road ahead to build out these systems and integrate a lot of this AI technology, but super excited about the future here.
I did quick kind of call to action here. So one of the beauties of this flexible subscription model is we can give discounts to anybody that signs up. So everybody that has signed up for this webinar, we can pass a promo code for 50% off for the first month, that's an automatic deal. As you guys go to the website, energydomain.com, and you click create account and you create, your login information, it's very straightforward. It takes you to the map that you saw earlier that has the basins and counties and all that. Click a basin that you're active in, add that to your cart, check out, and we will immediately pass you a promo code. You add that in, there's no long-term commitment. So you can go in at any time, subscribe to a basin for, call it the Permian Basin. You can get access to the entire Permian for $250 a month, or the Haynesville, or any of those tier one basins for $250 a month, and you can go in and cancel at any time. I would encourage you guys to do that. There is an option to create a trial. It's fine. It doesn't allow you to export any of the data. I assume a lot of you guys are going to want to run this alongside your workflows and start exporting data and that type of deal. I encourage y'all to go in and create an actual account and try it. And we are always, again, I'm available. I'm here doing demos alongside our sales team, which is very small right now. We are scaling that up starting next week. We've got some news on that front starting on Monday. So I encourage you guys, when you click, sign up for demo, I'm taking a lot of those personally. So I'm happy to visit with you guys and get feedback. I think this is how we built a successful product with Mineralware initially. This is all client driven. We know we have enough industry knowledge to get this to 70% of what you guys need. Ultimately, we rely on your feedback to make this the best product possible. That's what I've got. Scott, as they fall off of the demo, the webinar, it will take them to the website, correct?
Correct. So if you hang on to the call, we're going to end the call. You will be forwarded directly to the data website, which we've recently relaunched at the beginning of this year. From there, you can schedule another demo with one-on-one help it'll come from Ben or Chase or myself even. We'll get a one-on-one demo with you if you want. You can schedule a trial. There's a lot you can do here. You can contact us, just reach straight out to us. There's a contact button there. You can send us emails that goes directly to all of us. So whatever you want to do, you'll be prompted straight to the website, and from there, let us know what we can help you with.
Yeah, and so real quick, I just wanted to cover, I was talking about it conceptually, but you literally just go to energydomain.com. You'll click create account, and then you'll click data. You fill out your information. The second you create that account, we will immediately, because we'll see that you're on the webinar, we will send you a promo code for 50% off for that first month. Very straightforward deal, no long-term commitments. The default is already monthly, so you don't need to make sure that you do that. Really straightforward deal. And at any time, if y'all need a follow-up demo, happy to personally walk you guys through this. We are, like I said before, we are truly building this as a product, by the people for the people. And we want to make this affordable for everybody and make true enterprise level data accessible to the entire industry. So we hope you guys like it. Again, all of our contact information is on the website. Please feel free to reach out to us. If you have any other questions, we're always available, and look forward to hopefully working with the majority of you guys down the line.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.